What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's going on with the economic calendar thus far, what you should be watching for going into tomorrow, as we have some very important data coming out. And I also have a very important warning for all Tesla investors and traders out there. But before I break into detail all this information, before I talk about Tesla stock and break down some very important stuff, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with Tesla. Tesla has been absolutely decimated ever since its earnings has come out. We saw this thing just sink and sink and sink like a ship. Tesla was in the 200s just yesterday. Now we're down to just barely holding 180 a share. And the question is, how will Tesla move from here? I'll be talking about this in the next couple of minutes. I first want to mention a couple of warnings I have for Tesla and the markets. First and foremost, tomorrow is going to be Friday, January 26th. And we have something very important coming up. So, an hour before the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? We have some very important data. We have the PCE data report coming out. Now, PCE is very similar to CPI, except this is like more looked at by the Fed. The last time CPI came out for the month of December, we got a decent core CPI, but CPI for all items was hotter than expected. So with PCE coming out, there's a very, very good chance we may get something very similar, but nothing can be guaranteed as all this data could be manipulated. So you want to be very careful nonetheless. So with PCE, there's a very good chance core is going to be close to expectations, but all items PCE could be a little hot. I don't know for sure and what the extent will be, so you want to be very careful. Now, if you're day trading, if you're trying to make a short-term play, remember that, if you're going to hold anything overnight, you're going to be forced to hold through the PCE report. And I don't know if this is going to cause the market to gap up, gap down, collapse. We don't truly know technically because it all depends on the data, which is very manipulated. So we'll just have to wait and see. There is a risk that PCE for all items will be a little hot, but just to be safe, I'm personally going to just play it safe. You could do whatever you want, though. You could still make crazy money if you're correct. But I just want to give you guys a warning. There's about an hour and a half left of markets trading for the day. If you want to hold overnights through PCE, that is your choice. If you don't want to hold overnights through this, if you don't want to risk it, then you also have an opportunity to exit before the market ends up closing. That's what I just wanted to warn you guys about. Now, for Tesla, I have another warning for all the Tesla investors. There's all this negative news coming out there. These mainstream news articles are drooling upon their ability to just post all this bad stuff about Tesla, and they absolutely love it. They love to bash Tesla, make it look terrible, and it's once again affecting Tesla even more. So, what's going on? The headlines are saying Tesla has missed earnings. Tesla is doing horrible. Tesla set to erase $70 billion in valuation after Musk's sales warnings. All this negative news that they're trying to throw out there. I'm not like solely just going to attack them for it because most of it is true technically, but I'm just trying to say that the media loves it and they're going to continue to scream this as much as they can, and that is to some extent causing it an even bigger sell-off for Tesla. So the reason why this is important is, look, there is truth behind what they're saying though, because Tesla missed on earnings, EPS and revenue were a miss. Their margins are not the best. And on top of this, you can't forget about the fact that when it comes to their sales growth projection for 2024, it is likely going to be lower than that of 2023. The growth rates, not the overall numbers, just the growth rate overall. So that's bad news. It's leading to some fears amongst investors, and the media is not helping. They're going to continue to scream this as much as they can, which is continuing to hurt Tesla. So, with that being said, the question is, what is Tesla going to do? How are things looking? Here's my answer. So, Tesla has entered, it's going to get very close potentially to a capitulation phase. It's selling off like crazy. This was an insane, insane sell off. It's down like crazy, 30 points in a single day, which is insane. And in my opinion, with such a big sell off coming, right? Especially when you look at Tesla on the daily, once this updates, there's going to be likely more potential downside coming because of that. You have to be very careful for that reason. If Tesla loses basically 180, there's minor support at 178. It's very minor. Our next target is going to be 175 if we lose that. If we lose 175, we could get very close to 170. All right. And then we also have a bunch of gaps in the 160s I found, which some could actually get filled. We have some in like the 166 area, 162, and such. So there's a lot of gaps that are going to get filled in the 160s if we end up losing 170, and those are going to be our targets for even more downside if we end up breaking down. But for now, let's just look at the current levels Tesla's at. There is a risk of more downside, of course. You want to be very careful. Tesla is hovering in the 180 area, just barely holding it. Okay, it's holding it to a T, just barely. Now, if we lose, excuse me, sorry guys, I apologize. If we lose 180, okay, there's going to be a bigger drop coming very soon. And I think it's going to likely happen. Might not happen immediately because we're seeing some buyers trying to defend it there, but soon there is a risk of that potentially happening. And if that happens, I'm going to be watching 178 and 175. Tesla is still looking very weak. It's getting decimated. It's oversold, which is why we're going to see some buyers try to defend it. But there's still a risk of more downside, guys. So you want to be very, very careful. I just wanted to give you guys that warning. Be very careful. I'm not losing faith in Tesla. I see this as nothing more than an opportunity. So it's just a big opportunity. Don't lose faith just like that. Watch resistance around this 182.5 area. That's going to be our key resistance up here. We also have 184.5, followed by 187 to 188, and then we have 190 above that. But for now, Tesla's just shuffling in the very low 180s, just barely holding support. Buyers are trying to defend it right here, but there's a risk of more downside later on, guys, so be very careful. Don't forget, guys, PCE is also going to affect Tesla to some extent in the whole market, so be very careful. In my morning video, I said that SPY might test 488, and if we rejected off that, expected to come down to 486, if not lower than that. And that's almost exactly what happened after we got this rejection. So SPY right now, it's basically very close to 485. That's going to be our key support. If we lose that, we have 484 and lower levels coming. For resistance, you're going to be watching 486. If we break that, our next resistance will be up here. Basically, very close to 488 is the next major resistance. What is SPY doing? It's looking very weak because when you look at SPY on the 5 minutes time frame, we have a very, very nice looking head and shoulders like structure that develops today. So right here, we have this head and shoulders. This led to a sell-off on SPY, and it's still looking relatively weak. So there's a risk of more downside, guys. Be very careful. It might shuffle in the 486s, but there's still a risk of it just kind of trading sideways for the rest of the day. If you want to hold overnight, it's your choice. If you think the market's going to sink more tomorrow or do something like that, it's also your choice. If you don't want to risk it for PCE, it's also your choice, guys. It's up to you. For the QQQ, got a nice rejection off 429 before we got the sell off back down to 424. Now we're trying to test resistance around 425, still trading sideways in this range. Watch resistance at 425, break above this. 426.25 is next, 427, then 429. For support, watch 424. If we lose this, a bigger drop is coming to 422.5. If anything, I think we're just going to shuffle between 424 and 425 for an extended period of time. We might even try to get back above 425, but I don't really see any good moves for the rest of the day. We might just shuffle as time goes on, but just know a big move is going to happen overnight depending on PCE, so be very careful with that. On Nvda, it's the same thing essentially. Nvidia pumped. I was talking about a double top leg formation. That's what ended up panning out and a rejection. So I would say that we held support at 608. Now we're just trading sideways. Nvidia might just continue to shuffle in this 610 area, going back and forth and back and forth. I don't really see much for the rest of the day. I think it's just going to be stuck like this. It could even sell off a little bit more, but I think it's just going to trade sideways as time goes on, not really seeing a whole lot. Watch resistance at 612.5, 616, and then about 620. Watch support at about 607, 605, and 602. If anything, Nvidia is still trading sideways. It's holding up decently, but there's still a risk of potentially selling off. On Aapl, this thing attempted. It was trying to break out. It ended up failing, forming a nice double top. Big rejection, massive rejection. We actually lost 195. That's a sign of weakness. And now our next target is basically 193.5. We're very close to it. We're just 30 cents away. We're just going to likely shuffle between 193.5 and 194.4, going back and forth and back and forth. But Apple's starting to show some weakness as we failed to get a clean break above 195. We're just kind of stuck right now. So Apple's looking kind of weak. Big rejection. Watch it very carefully, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the day. And we'll also watch and see what happens once PCE comes out tomorrow morning to cause some massive volatility. With that being said, that's your warning, guys. We'll see how things go, and just know that excuse me, sorry, guys. Tesla is still looking very weak. Be careful on Tesla. Watch your supports and do what you have to do, guys. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you and peace out.